Just tell me when we're good.
Okay, we're good.
I want you to get back to your seat.
Yes. Sun is great.
We will open the meeting at 6 o'clock, or 6:30. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Winchester.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Burton.
Here.
Mattson. McCanny.
Here.
Kinnaman.
Here.
Collis.
Here. Motion to excuse Ryan Mattson.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Cullis. Oh, so moved. Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
I make a motion. but you
Oh,
can
I
have-
thought you were asking for a motion. I'm sorry.
No, then I
Oh,
would have
that's
said
what-
chair entertains a motion.
Oh,
My
okay,
It's
so
okay.
you're,
Doesn't matter.
Sometimes I take them if they're quick and easy.
so Derek's the.
Well, we'll give it to, the
Jen.
motions to
That makes
Jen,
no
and the
difference.
supports to
Okay,
Derek.
all right, good.
Do we get extra stars if we?
I said, typically I'll say chair entertains, but on the easy ones, I just do them so that it would be faster. So much for that, Derek. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now on the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered,
Oops, got the
agenda approval. I had to scribble my notes. Change. Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I make the motion. Support.
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Burton. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side. Motion carries. Now we'll go to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial. They do not require discussion by the Township Board and will appear by one motion. Or they will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion. If discussion is desired on an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will automatically be moved to the last item under new business.
I
No.
don't move to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Motion by Winchester, support by Kinnaman. Roll call, please.
Winchester.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Burton.
Yes.
Mattson. McCanny.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Collis.
Yes. Motion carries 6-0. And I'm glad nobody said yes when she said Mattson.
Right.
We don't have any public hearings this evening. We do have a presentation by bond attorney Joseph Collane. Collane? Yep. From Clark Hill.
Well, good evening, and thank you. My name is Joe Colaney. I'm with the law firm of Clark Hill. I'm a municipal bond attorney as well as a municipal attorney. I represent municipal governments on numerous issues, not just bond issues, but on other matters as well. You have before you, in a little bit of background for your benefit. I served on the township board. I was telling Trustee Kinnaman earlier, I served on a township board not too far from here for about 16 years. So I've been on that side of the podium, and I served on the planning commission. What's that?
I said, you can't tease us yet. Tell us where.
Oh, Heartland Township. So, and I still live in Heartland and still participate in a lot of things with the township community, and also serve from time to time as their bond attorney there as well. So. But I understand the issues oftentimes that other lawyers don't necessarily have a full appreciation for. So what you have before you tonight is a notice of intent to issue municipal securities. And under the Michigan Revised Municipal Finance Act, which is Public Act 34 of 2001, before a municipality decides to issue debt, they in this era of transparency, they're supposed to file a notice of intent, which gives the electors in the community 45 days from the time it's published in the newspaper to seek a referendum to place that issue perhaps on the ballot. In your case, the amount that's proposed is an amount not to exceed $5 million for the construction of your new township hall. I believe that's what I was informed from Steve Burke, your financial advisor. And I tried to incorporate, obviously, the items that are required for the notice of intent. The notice of intent requires, one, you state the maximum amount you intend to borrow, the purpose for which the borrowing is being used for, the source of the payment, and then, of course, the right of referendum to the public. And so what you have before you is a resolution to approve the notice of intent, and the notice of intent is attached as Exhibit A to the resolution. This is really important from a publication standpoint. I inserted the open press, but it could be another newspaper. Should you decide to use a different newspaper, we should modify the resolution to reflect that. But if you have a newspaper of general circulation in the township, you can publish it in that particular publication. And I think if you look at item under the now therefore be it resolved, it's the paragraph 2, it says the notice of intent is authorized and the clerk is authorized to post the notice of intent in the Oakland Press. If that's going to change, we can certainly, I would modify that. It's perfectly okay to do that.
Tri-County Times.
Tri-County
The
Times?
Tri-County
Okay.
Times.
So that would be the,
I have this, so I can just change that.
you can just change that.
Yeah.
Clerk Winchester, it's really important that when you do go to publish this, that it gets a quarter page.
Quarter, okay.
Yeah, and I've included that at the top of the Exhibit A. It says note to publisher, publication must be a quarter page in size. So that's kind of the rules under the or part of the statute for under Act 34.
Okay.
This is a limited, what we did say it's a maximum. We understand from my discussions with the municipal financial advisors, MFCI, that Steve Burke from MFCI, that I understand there's no intention to actually bond up to $5 million, but the idea is that we estimate, there's an estimate that that's the maximum amount. So what we want for this particular project, we certainly understand that the issuance of the securities will not exceed that amount. But it's important to do that because things changed in the project, inflationary factors, a lot of things can happen. And I've seen situations where we've had to redo the notice of intent. Well, that delays everything because you got to wait 45 days. So with that, I don't really have a whole lot of other things to present. But do you have any questions for me, like next steps or anything like that? Just be certain to kind of explain that.
Well, I do, because we're not close to making a decision of how this really looks and what we're really doing, and it seems kind of soon to alarm people about a project that we don't even really have details on what we're doing. So is it a thing that we do now just to get it done, or should we wait closer to when the engineer's done and there's an actual plan?
This is just the first step, and if your plan is to, it doesn't commit you to doing anything. It's really the first step in the bond process, and it's the one that takes time out of your timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So, I deal with a lot of public infrastructure projects, and this is the first thing. The question you have is exactly right. I mean, we don't really have a lot of plans. That's not an unusual circumstance. You want to get the notice of intent out there, let the purposes for what we're planning on, which is new township hall.
Right.
So it gives the electorate the understanding that if this is an issue for them, they have an opportunity to take some action. And that in and of itself takes time. Mm-hmm. So getting this in place now so that while your engineer is doing what they need to do, doesn't commit you necessarily if you come back and the engineer says, well, this is what it's going to be, and you're going to go, well, no,
Mm-hmm.
maybe wait a year or something like that. But even if you wait a year,
It doesn't matter.
it's not going to matter unless the amount is higher than what we're seeking here. So
How long is this? So you said it could take a whole year. How long would this be good for?
Technically, indefinitely,
Oh.
I mean, really, we would, as bond counsel, we would recommend that if you're delaying this 5 or 6 years, we would probably say, no, let's do this again. But I've done sewer projects, and we've done the notice of intent in, 1 year, and it doesn't occur until the following year, or a couple of years down the road because of various issues that come with, certain things like that. And it's not unusual, but I think, from a practical standpoint, if you're beyond a couple of years, you probably want to do another notice of intent, just because Treasury looks for that. So when we go to, there are numerous documents that are associated with the bond transaction, municipal finance transaction. There's rules we have to follow with Treasury, the IRS, as well as Securities and Exchange Commission, depending on how we do things here. Most likely is, Steve probably talked about the benefits of doing a direct placement or perhaps a competitive sale. Likely this will be a competitive sale. So, but this doesn't commit you to anything, really. It's just really that one first step in the process.
I do want to clarify, because we never know who's watching which meeting, what they've seen before. I don't think that it's fair to say we have no idea what we're doing. We've been looking at this, the engineers have made proposals, they've made projections of cost. We have not landed on the final idea. We haven't approved the details. But it's not like we're walking into this blind. We've had the numbers presented to us.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a work in progress. But as Steve Burke said, this was something we wanted to be out in front of, put it out there. And as you said, the notice is out there, and once it's there, if it takes us 6 months or a year to get there, that's okay. It's just part of the process.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I
Any other
think
comments?
also we have that understanding that part of that 5 million is funds as well that we are holding.
That's what he said.
Yeah, that our intent isn't to borrow $5 million. Our intent is our total project will be that, and we have a significant amount of those funds already.
Right, and he covered that, but he said that's why you do this way.
Right,
So it allows for any movement, so you don't have to come back and start
Right.
over.
yes.
Correct. Yeah. And that was my understanding as well. Steve explained to me the structure of the transaction, and I think we're on the same
Right.
page and everything, so.
Any other questions?
Well, I look forward to working with all of you, and it's a pleasure to be here, and if
Did I
I'm
hear you
always
pronounce
available.
your name Colaney?
Colaney.
Colaney?
Well, it's a long story. My wife goes by Coliani, and I go by Colaney. And it's a long story. Maybe over a cup of coffee I can explain that. It goes back to the days when I lived in Chicago, but anyway. So, yes, Colaney.
Okay.
All right. Have a great night.
All right, thank you.
Is it all right that I may be excused, or are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That takes us to reports on the trustees. I'll start with Mr. Kinnery.
Not much. I'm going to take the opportunity at this time to wish everyone a happy Easter and celebrate the weekend.
All right, now turn it over here to Mr. McCaney.
Went on a tour of a piece of property in the North Point area where there's a bridge and a river, and there's village property and township property and 2 parcels, and the village is looking at possibly turning it into some type of park situation, or putting in a parking lot, and maybe some other things for kayakers that usually come down the river.
Is this
To-
the property behind Riverside North?
No,
Ye-
gardens.
Or, I'm sorry, Riverside Gardens?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, he had said it in the.
So it would be, it would be the park would be on the village, and then the parking would be proposed for the end that meets the gardens of Riverside, that there's parking, it would be there, because you can't get back.
Yeah, there's no way
There's
to
no
get to
access
the,
to get that.
yeah, the
But,
village
yeah,
land's
yeah,
landlocked,
we
but,
just- Yeah.
so we toured it, and So that'll probably be bubbling up, so some heads up that it's an interesting project. It's an interesting piece of land for just a park situation, and it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. So it's coming to a theater near you.
Is this part of that trail that the village approved the use of the land to put a hiking trail? That
I
basically goes from
Don't know.
the
I see
landing?
your head bobbing over here.
They have, oh, it is, okay. They have a couple of issues because it butts up against the train tracks, and their insurance company said no. So we're early in this situation, but it's an interesting place for the public to tour, so, more to come.
It's on Fish Lake Road.
No, you gotta get to it.
That's that it's our
Okay.
canoe landing property, the next across the river,
Mhm.
and then it goes all the way back.
Yeah,
The village is to the, so that would be to the south.
Okay.
is that property connected to the,
East. It's right next to ours.
It would be to the
Okay.
east.
Yeah,
Yeah.
north, yeah. So the path that Sue Julian's proposing would be on the township property, and then it
Mhm.
would go along the
Mm.
railroad. But that's an interesting thought about what the, insurance company would say.
we'd
As long
probably
as
have to
it's
put
out
up
of
some
the
kind of,
right-of-way.
yeah, it's not there, it's just they
Right.
don't want unfettered access to live tracks.
Right, but the Gardens is putting in the pathway that will kind of stop at the end of the Gardens before it gets to Holly Township.
Yeah, I
property.
did, that is staked
Yeah.
out, yeah, yeah. And there's a fire hydrant, like, in the middle of the field, so.
Yeah.
If the tree catches on fire, we got it covered. There's a fire hydrant right there.
Okay. Mr. Burton?
Not much from me from the highest standpoint. I had, was unable to attend this month. From the Little League standpoint, games start next week. So looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun.
Does that mean we're gonna have a baseball parade here? We're gonna-
Well, and we don't do the baseball parades anymore just because they used to have an endpoint at Carl Richter back when we had those fields at Carl Richter. So that was kind of the purpose of that, was for opening day. Then everybody kind of convened there. Right now I'm working on coordinating with the post commander of the VFW to have Little League involvement in the Memorial Day parade.
Oh.
So that will kind of take place for that.
I did that last year too, right?
We did
What was that?
holidays last year, if
Oh.
I'm not mistaken, for Little League. So, yeah, but the problem we ran into with holidays was it was in football season, and usually your kids who play baseball are then playing football at that point in time. They're not gonna not be with their football team to join their baseball team. That happened 5 months ago. So, we had fairly low turnout for that, but hopefully with it being Memorial Day, with it being actually in the baseball season, and notifying more, families in Little League, that we can get more involvement into the Memorial Day parade. So, yeah.
Clerk Winchester?
I don't have any report.
Treasurer?
So we're working on tax settlement with the county. We're working as a team on the budget. As part of some of the recommendations from the financial advisor, we're also working on a fund balance policy and a capital improvement plan. And then, the treasurer's office is gonna be closed the last week in April, so that's April 28th through May 1st for our annual MMTA training.
28th through the 1st?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, that comes to me. Couple of things. Last month, we waited a half an hour to get the meeting recorded, to get it on there, and somehow when it got onto YouTube, it disappeared, and we weren't able to retrieve it. We don't know what happened. Unfortunately, I found out at that point, I thought we were recording the meeting on a thumb drive or hard drive, and I found out we weren't. We've rectified that, so whatever happens to this meeting tonight, if it doesn't show up on YouTube, we still have the meeting, and we'll be doing that going forward. It's really frustrating that it wasn't on there, but that's what happened. This is the first day I've been back in the office in 3 weeks. I was at a conference in Grand Rapids 2 weeks ago, Then last week I was at a conference in Philly, and then Jen took sick the first part of this week, so I found myself at a conference in Lansing Monday and Tuesday. A lot of good information from those, some different things, vendor information. I've got 3 bags of collected paraphernalia from those that I've got to sort out and pass out to the different people. I've got some stuff that'll go to the Knoxville Fire Chief. I've got some stuff that'll go to Holly Township Parks. I've even got a couple of things to pass out into the village that I picked up at the conferences, as well as our office for the projects we're working on. Found out some grant opportunities and some vendors that have some products that we probably would have never found if it hadn't been for that location. Holly is a historic community. I sit as the chair of the HDC committee in the village. One of the biggest problems we have in the downtown area is the replacement of windows. And I ran into a manufacturer there that literally manufactures these tall, skinny windows with the round tops. They do it nationwide, and for them, they're standard sizes. Instead of trying to find somebody that will make you a window to do that, that's what their expertise is. I never knew they existed, but that was probably one of my better finds there. But we ran into a lot of things and some people that have some grant monies available. So we'll be working on it, and you'll hear some more of that as we go forward. You know, I always like to think that when I go to these conferences, I bring something back of value to us. I think that's fair to say that that happened in all 3 of those events. That being said, I'm going to move on to public comment. Public comment on agenda items only. Members of the public can address the board on agenda items only, once recognized by the supervisor. Comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. The board may extend this time by a majority vote. Prior to addressing the board, members of the public shall state their name, address for the record. A second public comment is available after new business for all other comments. Thank you for your cooperation. Do I have anyone for public comment? Going once, twice, Amber? Oh, I thought that's why you were here.
No, not on the new business.
Oh, okay. All right then. I will move on to old business. That is something that's still in the works. We have no action taken, so that'll just remain for another month.
Can I just ask, was there any further information about that cemetery that was
That's-
identified?
They're the engineers working on it
Okay.
right now, and it'll
Okay.
be part of their conservation easement that'll be part of the agreement.
Okay.
Then we had to get the information on the road. He does own the road, so that's all sorted out.
What
And
happened?
then-
I thought you said there was a quick claim deed on file.
Yeah, but it was only at that very beginning, right at Grange Hall,
Oh,
to Quick
okay.
Road. It's a little ways up, but not his property.
While I was at those conferences, Karen and I still communicated through phones as well as Jen and I know that was one of the topics we
Yeah.
had talked about.
And then we're
Mhm.
waiting for Lisa to finish the conditional rezoning agreement. But she has to wait for the final drawing from him.
Hmm.
So it should be, everything should be done by next month.
Okay.
Okay. So we can go into new business requests for employee participation in holidays. Is that where you wanted to start? There you go.
This is where I am. Do I still say my name
Yes.
and my address? Okay. Amber Kyer, 710 East Maple. I'm here on behalf of the Holidays Committee. We're trying to get a bunch of community organizations together to kind of do this as a team, to do holidays as a team. Generally, it was run by the DDA and the parks and some of the village administration, but we'd really like to include everybody in it, right? So what we are requesting from you is to allow your employee, which would be Amy Hillman is who we've been speaking to, we would like her to organize the parade for holidays. So do all the kind of logistics, reach out to the different organizations, see who wants to participate, and then kind of run the logistics of it. Of course, like our police will help in terms of safety and traffic, but that's pretty much our ask for tonight, is for you to allow your employee to organize the parade for us. And then potentially, I mean, if you guys want to get more involved next year, you know, we'd just love to see more involvement.
So I have an interesting comment for you, and I say it's interesting because my guess is you don't know this.
Okay,
The Dickens Festival used to be under the DDA.
okay.
The village president at that time was Ryan Blatzik.
Mhm.
He came forward with a law that said that a municipality is not supposed to spend money on festivals and organizations and such. And it was because of that that the village council voted to not allow the DDA to run the Dickens Festival.
Okay.
That's how the Dickens Festival went out on its own. In fact, it got canceled originally because of that. And Dick and Dawn Roselle, who had a business downtown, said they couldn't imagine the village without the Dickens Festival. They picked up the ball with a couple of other businesses, and for 2 years, they ran the festival.
Okay.
Then at the end of their 2 years, they were tapped out, and they announced that unless there was something else to take it over, it appeared as though it had breathed its last breath. And it had shrunk from the festival that so many folks knew to one here in the back corner parking lot over here.
Mhm.
And it was through a group of people in social media that said, we can't afford to lose this. They met at a meeting at the village council, the old village council chambers, and had decided that group of volunteers would run that. That's where I got drafted, voluntold, whatever term works, that I would be the director of that. We discussed the whole project. We took a month for everybody to think about it, came back, and the decision was to move forward. Now, you know the rest of the history of that.
Right.
Interestingly enough, there was another nonprofit group formed, and Ryan Blatson was part of that. And that group, state law did allow the village to hold a festival, if you will, for the 150th anniversary.
Yes, that's what I'm
There's a
telling you.
little kick in the law that says you can do that. Well, the nonprofit group that Ryan Blatzik was a part of, Jesse Lambert was a part of it, we had put on, I don't remember what it was called at the time, it got changed to Holidays, but we had it over in
The
Craig.
Carrie Nation Festival?
No, it had to do with the kids, you know the signs on the edge of town where you come
Oh,
in
yeah,
the door?
the play day.
Oh, okay, Community Play Day, okay.
It was a play day.
Mhm.
Well, that got, when Holidays come up, it was the same week, it kind of joined the play days.
Right.
That then got evolved into Holidays. So the reason I'm telling you this story is that all of a sudden the village started running Holidays, which you could look at it and say that's a direct contradiction to the fact that they would no longer do the Dickens Festival.
Right.
The reason I bring that up is because my question is, and I don't know, we'd have to look into this, I don't think anything stops Amy Hillman as a resident of the community from doing that. My question is, if the township votes yes to let her do that, what kind of obligation do we then take, and is that a legal direction?
Well, we
I'm
can't.
not trying to throw the wrench in.
No, you're okay.
She
I'm,
can't use township time to do that because this is a private, organization, and we're not allowed to donate money to a private
Well, it's not private,
organization.
it's the village.
No, I verified that.
yeah, exactly. It's
I asked Sarah.
a bunch of different
McKinney.
committees, kind of, like we
Yeah.
formed our own committee. That's, you know, a couple people from our Parks Committee,
Is
a couple
it a
people
form
from,
of nonprofit?
no.
So it's not a nonprofit?
It's private.
Okay. I'm just asking in regards to
So as long,
navigating.
right, and I think they just want to be able to express to the community that we are participating as a township.
100%.
So that's kind of why,
Yeah, we're not asking, there's no money we're asking of anybody, really.
But
I-
at the
I-
same
I
time,
see, but
if
the
we
same-
approve Amy as our employee to do that, aren't we then obligated to pay her while she does it?
we
Whether she
can't,
does it during the day or
we
afterwards?
can't pay
That's
her.
why I'm asking, and at that point then, why are we asking for an actual?
I don't know, I was asked, I was trying to filter all that out, because I thought they were asking for money, and because the law is you can't.
We're basically
So,
just
but then
asking for
she-
you guys to be part of Holidays. To maybe,
And I hear, believe me,
Right.
as somebody that's been involved in festivals here, I have no issue with that. My issue comes from that legality statement
Mhm.
that caused all the kerfluffle 12
Before.
years
She'd
ago.
have
Right.
to do it on her own personal time.
right,
That's what I'm saying, so my question is,
okay, so I see what you're
The board can
saying.
say, yeah, we don't have a problem with it, but I don't know that we make a motion and approve it.
Exactly, because if she's doing it on her own personal time, what is it? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what
She
I'm
can't
asking.
do it on township time because then that's taxpayers paying for a private
Exactly.
purpose.
Understandable, yeah.
It's just, I mean, I hate to bring it up, but I lived it.
Yeah.
No,
And
100%.
it can't be there one time and then not the next. It either is or isn't.
Exactly.
And it
Well, and that's
is,
what our
yeah.
hope is that, yeah, you guys will continue to, yeah, to make your presence known basically at these kind of festivals like Holidays and Halloween and these kind of things.
Well,
So,
it's interesting you brought up Halloween. My wife and I, a couple of years ago, if you remember, you may not have seen it, but I know I told you, we always give out candy at our house.
Mhm.
And that year, we had somewhere we had to be Halloween, and we had all this candy. So we came down the Saturday before and sat outside the township office and gave out our candy.
Mhm.
And I had a couple people come up and say, so the township's spending money to give out candy for Halloween? We actually had to go on Facebook and say, no,
Right.
it was our own personal candy that we gave out. We just chose the township hall to sit in front because, well, the truth is because we could go and use the bathroom.
It's the same thing, yeah, we pride ourselves on that, yeah, no taxpayer dollars go towards the 4th of July or holidays or Halloween, yeah.
So it just was an interesting, situation you find yourself in. So, I mean, beyond that, I don't have an issue. I just don't see where it becomes a formal motion and
Okay.
so forth.
so what if we did not a motion, but a consensus of support for our employee to voluntarily participate?
Yeah, that's good.
We've pretty much done that through the
Mhm.
conversation
Yeah.
we've had.
But so it's kind of formally written, but it's not
Yes.
it's not an actual motion.
That sounds good.
So so the community puts together a festival and then the government can't do anything to help them, but the government benefits from bringing eyeballs into the village, but we can't do anything about it. Where does this law at? Because I think we're losing. I think we're losing something here. Government is supposed to serve the people, not hinder them, not punish them, not stop them from doing everything they want. I know this because my wife, she ran the festival last year out of our house. It was miserable because it takes hours and hours and hours to do this stuff and to talk and get it all organized. And then as soon as, but it looks like the community or the government is putting on this festival, and it's not. It's just people got together and to do it. So what law are we buffering on? And let's get the lawyer in here and find out what the hell. I'm getting bored. I don't care if it's state law. I need to know what it is. What is the law? Because I can come up with state laws till I'm blue in the face also. I can go find it. But we need to figure out what we're doing because these festivals take a lot of time. They take a lot of money and just time. And it's like, do we want them or not?
No.
I think
you
the
and I know
DDA
this.
should
We've
be
worked on
doing
the
it. They're
Dickens
capturing
Festival in
taxes.
Richmond.
Well,
That's
we
their
need to
thing.
push it onto them because
Then
this
how-
is, it's an
how
amazing
is,
amount of time to do this.
My
How is
understanding
the
is that's
DDA
what they're supposed to be
director
doing
then?
it.
Okay.
That they're
Awesome.
capturing
Running
money to bring,
The parade
These
and
kind of things to the community.
all
but
of
us,
We need help.
was done.
we are for health,
So
safety,
these
and
were
welfare.
At the time they started
Parks and
doing that,
Recreation could do
those
it
were
also
questions
as
I-
well.
As the director of
In
the
that
Dickens
department.
Festival,
Yes,
I
because
was
that's
asking,
what their
how are
money's
you not
for.
running
Okay.
holidays?
If
Perfect.
that's considered
Because the
recreation,
EGWs are on Saturday morning helping.
and I think it
How are
is.
you not doing that when you weren't allowed to do Dickens? And
Mm-hmm.
I was told that it was different because it was the village celebrating their anniversary or something. I don't. I
Before
agree
all
with
of our
Mr.
time, yeah, who knows?
I agree with Mr. McCanny. I think it's there. I have talked to other communities that there are some communities that have an actual economic development department, and it can fall under there, and there's another set of
There's
parameters that
certain
it can be.
ways, but
So
it has to be
But
government.
just currently, the way the
government run
village is set up,
by
the way
us.
we're set up, it's not. And I wasn't part of that whole legal discussion at the time. That was Mr. Bladzik and the village attorney, and those decisions were made. And so it's been an interesting little thing in here. But when I saw this on the agenda, I was trying to figure out how do we assign an employee to an event? What does that do to us? And that's why I was asking if it had gone to legal or if we had looked at it.
They might have to get, like she said, put into the DDA's bucket.
Well, and I don't have that information for you tonight, but we'll get it for you.
Yeah, we need to work on that, because it's,
Because
well, people are gonna get tired, and we're gonna get older and get tired, and we lose energy, and then it'll just stop, because there's nobody else stepping up, and it's
well,
not,
if you remember when we started the Dickens Festival, I think this is before you came on board with us. If you remember the very first year, we went back to the DDA and I said, you're getting rid of this, you're putting it out there, but we need you to keep it for one more year so we can be under your umbrella for insurance.
yeah, insurance.
Because anybody that's part of this group doesn't want to put our own home on the line if something happens. And I said, at that point, the group of volunteers is asking you to appoint me as the director to run this festival with the understanding that we're going to set up a nonprofit, put these things in. And now they have policies and procedures and insurance policies. But it took some time to do that.
Right.
And that's what they did, so. So I didn't want to hijack your presentation.
You're okay. There wasn't really a presentation. It was more of an ask. So
Sure.
yeah, I'll just go back to them and say that, yeah, there's been a consensus that you guys are willing to, yep, organize a parade. Perfect. Thank you so
All right,
much.
thanks. I've said this before, when people ask questions, I say, if I don't have the answer, I'll find it to you, but understand one thing, the answers I'm gonna give you, you may not like, and I may not like that I have to give them to you, but I'm stuck with the state legislature and the laws and what's written and what we have to go by.
I am a little confused, because I know, like, for example, I mean, I've worked with a lot of DDAs before, other places I've worked too, but like, I know the DDA puts on events all the time, so what's the
Well,
difference?
That's
Right.
part of their job.
They just didn't want it.
Well,
I think, yeah.
I
it
understand
was-
that, but I'm
yeah.
telling you what had happened at the time,
Mhm.
because at the time, I wasn't let me take that back. My involvement with the Dickens Festival at the time was just volunteering and working with Dawn and Dick.
Mhm.
And I ended up doing the part of Scrooge, mainly because Joe Mishler was in charge of that, and his mother was dying.
Mhm.
And he just had let Dick Roselle know, can't do it, won't be there, can't be involved. And they called a special meeting and said, how do we have Dickens without it? And I volunteered a suggestion, and I've been there for 15 years now.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, that's how that stuff happens. So, all right, we appreciate your time and look forward to the festival.
Perfect, thank you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, purchase, acquire, and construct capital improvements within the township to publish notice of intent to issue municipal securities, proposed resolution 2025-05, and all associated business. This is basically to approve what Mr. Caliani, I think is what it said, just presented to us.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Burton, support by Kinnaman. Any discussion?
Well, I would just say, I think the one thing that is very important to clarify is we're going out for this bond, which is much different than when a school goes for a bond, and that stays on your taxes. We are covering this bond from general fund dollars and tax revenue that we're already receiving from residents. This is not an additional tax being imposed on residents.
Correct.
I think that is where there's been a lot of, confusion.
Well, and
About this
we've
bond.
presented the budget, not only from a one-year standpoint, but we've presented long-term projections, 3 to 5 years, and so forth. So, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
So I just want to clarify that. And then the second thing, which, maybe down the road, and this is kind of going off on a side tangent of just gathering more information, is I know like 2 village meetings ago, they had reached out to the village manager to start researching becoming a city once again. So I just want to make sure that if I could see also revenues without those village revenues, that would make me feel a lot more comfortable, just in case, because you never know what's going to happen. And in 10 years, if that decision was made, and none of us may even be here, I want to make sure that we'd be able to cover it with what we have. And I don't even know how that would work.
And I feel the same way. I've learned some things since our presentation. And I want a workshop with the board to actually anchor in what we're actually doing. And, because there's other various ways we can manage this. I don't necessarily agree that it should be by bonds, and maybe we could do something, phasing in a grant for community center. I have those things I wanna talk about. I want a deep conversation about the plan, what our options are, and really what direction we're going in.
I would like to say, in coordination with your thing about the taxes, one of the benefits of bonding versus just paying for things is that it aligns the cost with the useful life of the object. So then, like, this new building and community center, or whatever we may end up with, would benefit residents for at least the 25 years of the bond. So then the residents for the next 25 years are the ones paying for it, in the sense of the tax money over the years is paying for it, as opposed to using, like, trying to use like all the reserves we have now to pay for something, and then past years were paying. You know what I mean?
Right.
Does that make sense?
And I guess the biggest thing I was just wanting to be sure is that, in 6 years, if these are, say, cut in half, I don't know what the
It would be about
calculation is.
Well, so all of that's
169,000,
taken in,
right? 169,000 was
What's
their
that?
taxable, the village.
Oh.
This year,
that's their appraised value.
that's their taxable value. We looked at their taxable value today.
I think
So
that
it
was
would be-
that just real though, or was that both?
That number
I-
sounds like real to me.
Yeah, it might just be real, so a little bit, it's not much more though.
Yeah.
I think that,
but-
yeah, but it,
So
so,
170 something.
okay, 170 something
So the
That would
process,
come off of
just to
our-
clarify,
budget.
the process that the village has to go through is they can't just say, we wanna become a city and it gets granted.
Right.
It goes to the state, and the state looks at the overall situation.
Right.
They look at why they need to be a city, what effect does that have to the township? So it's it's not just okay,
I understand. I just want to make
It's
sure
much
I'm
more
covered
detailed.
from every angle. Because again, I mean, even if they did go that route, it wouldn't be overnight. But still saying 10 years, I mean, it's 20 years still left on that bond. That then the
and
outer
that's all
township
taken
be
into
responsible for.
consideration by the state too, as part of that process. Because the state's not gonna grant something that causes somebody else to fail.
Okay.
So that was a conversation I had at one of the conferences with one of the attorney groups on that, is in that respect. And they said the state is gonna look at the whole package, and they're not gonna allow one thing to happen that creates failure for the other.
Yeah, because I know, like, it was talked about last year, year and a half ago. And before, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't pay super close attention, but I don't remember them talking about it nearly as much as they are right now, or have been in the last year and a half, 2 years. So that's why I just, I gotta make sure when I make decisions, I know every single thing that could possibly happen, and that we'd be covered. Now, granted, obviously expenses would be different at that point as well. So, I mean, it could work itself out, I just wanna know that it could, I guess.
Okay. Any
And
other
what I
discussion?
would probably say to that is, this process today is not affected by that.
Right.
Because this is, just as he talked about, this is our initial step. And at any point down the road, if we haven't already pulled the trigger to borrow the money, we can always pull back, or we can delay, or we can take a different route.
Well, he told you he's had communities wait 5 and 6 years.
Or you
Right.
don't have to use
Yeah.
it at all.
Right.
Right.
But-
And I understand that, and
But I feel that by waiting until we have all of our ducks in a row and then do this, our ducks are gonna swim off, basically, So let's take this step so that when we do have our ducks in a row, or decide we're not using ducks, that we don't have to come back and do this later. And then we've got that, as he talked about, it's a 45-day delay, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're at a point where you're saying, okay? We can line up builders, we can get our assessments done, we've got final drawings, and then go, let's do this. At that point, we just put the brakes on all kinds of things. It's just like
Well,
having to wait all winter to work on that barn because the weather wasn't, the ground was too soft. And then you have to put in a road. Well, this is putting the road in first and having it ready for when you need it.
Right.
And the 45-day referendum for us is literally 2 months. Because it calendar-wise, that's what it does.
Right,
Because we meet once a month.
right.
Any further discussion? None appearing. Can we have a roll call?
Can we clarify though with that motion that we are changing from Oakland Press to Tri-County Times?
Yes,
We need that, I think, included in
Yeah.
the
Okay,
motion.
so I will amend my motion to include the resolution of where the,
Number 2.
Item 2.
yep, and item 2 to replace municipal secretaries in the Oakland
Securities.
Press to the Tri-County Times.
Yes. And that was supported by Kinnaman?
Yes.
Okay. If we can have a roll call, please.
Ryan,
Yes?
Burton,
Yes.
McCanny,
Yes.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
Winchester,
no,
Hollis,
Yes. Motion carries 5-1. We will move on to number 3, West Nile Grant Reimbursement Request Proposal Resolution 2025-06. This is something we do every year. It allows us to give away the mosquito spray and the dunk tablets for the standing water to help keep the mosquitoes down. We actually had a resident come in today asking for dunks. So she's seeing activity with the little bars already. This is, I don't know who, somebody has to attend this meeting for us to be authorized. That'll be the next step. It's been, the last couple of years, I think Amy went
Amy.
last year.
I think I think she did her part, I asked, so,
Oh, for this year already?
yeah,
Yeah, I remember getting an email too.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll
So,
make the motion then to approve the West Nile Grant Reimbursement, proposed resolution 2025-06.
Support.
motion by Kinnaman, support by Burton. Any further discussion?
Is there a amount that we have to stay under? I'm just wondering, because with it being a reimbursement program, I mean, you
Yes.
can, okay, and so you probably tie a lot of things
Yeah.
in gray area to mosquito.
so they,
West Nile,
yeah,
right?
they set our
They-
amount,
they-
and then
they
we have
give
to
us the
purchase
amount.
within,
Okay.
They give us the amount, we then purchase, then once we've purchased, they reimburse.
yeah,
Okay, and we get as close as we can to the top of that
Yes.
number?
Yeah, it's usually in the neighborhood of about 8,000.
last year, I think it was more like 5,
Oh, did it?
yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, whatever it
we
is
used
they
to
say we
have
can have is
an
what we go.
enormous
Awesome.
amount,
Okay.
yeah, more than we could give away.
Any other discussion? No, we gave it up, we
No,
only have
years
3.
ago.
Oh, years ago.
Yeah.
Throw them out at the holidays parade, throw them discs out to
Yeah.
everybody.
I think we're down to 3 boxes left.
Yeah, now
over
it
from
goes,
last year.
it goes
Yeah.
fast,
Well, the mosquitoes last year were,
terrible,
Well,
yeah.
like the one year we had so much left over, that was the year that the order didn't come in till late.
Mhm.
So we didn't have the whole summer to give it away. By the time we got it, we were already midway through. And we were closed a lot of that time too, so it made it difficult. All right, roll call please.
Burton,
yes.
McCanny,
Yes.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
Winchester,
Yes,
Ryan,
Yes?
Hollis,
Yes. Motion carries 6-0. Next, number 4 is Mental Health Awareness Month, proposed resolution 2025-07. I want to thank the county for getting it out to us early for this. We are proposing the month of May is Mental Health Awareness. Typically, they get it to us the first week of May, and we don't approve it till the 3rd Wednesday, and the damn month is already passed. So I sent them a letter last year, and I said, why do you do this?
right,
board meetings are earlier, and ironically, I got a response, go, we didn't know. What? How did you not know? Thank you for the update, we weren't aware. Well, this year they got it to us early, so we can approve it before it actually happens.
Wow. And there was some kind of procedural reason why we can't just blanket it, correct?
What?
Josh is calling, so something must happen. Can I just,
Yeah.
cause,
Well, answer.
oh, well, he hung up, so I didn't wanna do that, but it must be about the recording, so
I'll make a motion to approve the mental health,
Support?
support by Burton. It's a resolution, so we will need a roll call.
Now, can I get that discussion real quick?
Oh,
Is
I'm
it,
sorry.
no problem. Is there wasn't there a procedural reason or something that we can't just make this indefinite? Cause we come back and do this every single year we make.
I don't think so.
So I mean, could we not just make May?
I think I remember something
Oh.
from the village side that's the case.
Okay.
It's not a
Well, because they might not have
perpetual.
it.
I think because there's like some federal grant money or there's some sort of funding that comes to the county because they have done this,
Okay.
and it has to show up every year in the municipalities authorizing it or signing on to it in order for them to get their funding of some sort.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause I
Or
mean, it's
recognition
not like
of a
it
plaque or something.
falls off if we say we're not supporting it, you know?
Yeah.
That'd be like us saying, hey, we're recognizing Easter this Sunday. You know, I don't understand. It's not like whether we say yes or no is changing mental health awareness month in May. So-
There's county stuff that's tied to that.
Okay.
All right. If we could, any further discussion? None appearing.
Oh, was there, I didn't get the motion.
Motion by myself, support by Burton to approve proposed resolution 2025-07 for the Oakland County Mental Health Awareness Month.
Roll call.
Please.
McCanny,
Yes.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
Burton,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Winchester,
Yes.
Hollis.
Yes. Motion clears or passes 6-0. Number 5, KEPS, K-E-P-S. And then the ACDM. We're not using normal words, we're using a whole bunch of acronyms. The Metro Act Permit Extension Request Proposal Resolution 2025-08. Karen?
This is they've been, we've had permits, given them Metro Act permits for quite some time now. They're now asking not just for an extension, but actually it's a bilateral permit, so I think it's for 15 years. So it is an extension, but as a bilateral instead of a 5-year.
Was this reviewed by the attorney?
It was reviewed by the attorney,
So
yes.
we're okay.
We're all good.
All right. Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve 2025-08.
Support.
Support?
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Cullis. With a backup by Winchester. Any further discussion?
You're throwing us off with these motions and supports being made.
know, it's
I just had-
Calling for it, or?
I just got on
When
page,
everybody paused, I thought, let's just keep it moving.
on page 3, there's some yellow highlights. I don't know whether that is the actual agreement that we're voting on, or is this the,
That's stuff I have to get filled in.
all right. And then what are these, I see they're a telecommunications company, but what are they doing? There's a lot of like,
Fiber, they put it's the running of their fiber.
oh, they're the fiber guys?
Yeah.
It's the fiber lines in the township.
We're gonna have another.
Because there's a
one
lot
next
of,
month.
there's a lot of word salad in here, and then it's ends up being, what are you guys doing? And there's no real clear, but if the attorney looked at it, then we should be covered, right?
It just means it's
Like
in
we
the right
have
of
one
way,
with
right?
AT&T, that when they run their fiber,
And it looks
For the
like
right of way.
this is just out on Dixie Highway.
yeah, they
If you
provided their
Look
map.
at this map,
Yeah, I saw the map.
it's just out on Dixie.
Well, they're working everywhere, so.
They'll probably try to get more in as they go.
That's the part, that's in our township.
Mhm.
Right.
All right. I'm good.
This isn't the ABC that, or the 1, 2, 3 that you're seeing everywhere.
So
This is somebody else.
Some,
123.net just applied, I think, yeah,
They're
yesterday.
coming next.
Yeah, they're coming next.
Because they've been in the village, they've been in Fenton, so now they're ready to connect them.
hmm.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
McHenry,
Yes.
Winchester,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Burton,
Yes.
Powell.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. That takes us to our last public comment. Rules as before, 3 minutes. State your name and address. Anyone for public comment? Got a bunch of heads shaking no. And we will close the meeting at 7:26. Still on.
Tomorrow, 6 o'clock, correct?